one of the ways we do stuff is wholesaling. Wholesaling is when you essentially flip houses with no money and no credit, right? We look for properties at a deep discount. So we'll find a property that's worth 100,000. We'll find it at 40, sell it to 50. At closing, we pick up a check for $10,000, and then the flipper takes it, maybe puts 15,000 into it, and then sells it for 100 and makes that spread. But we're essentially the deal finders. And one thing you're learning about every aspect of real estate, the most important thing is the deal. You're reading books, and it's going to sound really cheesy. If you have a good deal, the money will come. Well, that is true. Money will come if you have a great deal. You know, I've been able to get into deals, to flips, with no money out of pocket, and this is where we're, you know, buying and rehabbing the property because I found the deal. I've been able to get into those deals like that and then get a 50% split on the back end because I was such a good deal finder. I found my first house I bought in Charlotte, I found it while I was looking for deals. Second house, a wholesaler brought to me. I have 100,000 plus equity in my house, you know, so the finding of the deal is the most important deal in any type of real estate. So it's basically you're acting as a middleman. One thing when Rod was building up the Mr. Threes in the Charlotte location, and one thing I like about his business model, he owns his buildings where his restaurants are located, which is pretty dope and rare. That's rare in business in general, let alone the African American to do it. So with that being said, I was hanging with him and he was telling me about there are spots that they sell commercial, low-level commercial appliances packaged for a house, like $1 million home. Like $1 million plus home, you're probably gonna have like a $30,000 kitchen set appliances start, right? It can go up, all right? And that's like a entry-level commercial appliances, entry-level commercial appliances, 30K, right? So he was telling me that there are businesses, right, that when restaurants, because it's so common for restaurants, they go in, buy the commercial property at a deep discount, or the landlord just call them like, hey, look, my tenant left in the middle of the night. I got all these appliances in this. Can y'all just come get this stuff out? Because I gotta get it down to a shelf for my next tenant. And they come out and do that. But with us, what we do is we find houses at deep discounts and then resell them. Because that person who gets those commercial appliances, he resells them. So you figure if I go brand new, it's gonna run me 30,000. Now I can go to this guy and spend 7,000. Obviously it's like, yo, it works. All right, it works. Okay, let me take it. So in general is very important to any aspect of business. So that's basically what we do, but we do transactions. I've done new construction, flipping land. I have a rental portfolio. He has a huge rental portfolio. He's currently building his estate and everything. So we have experience in pretty much every aspect of real estate.
You do 100,000, and you find it at 100, it's worth 200. You need 50,000 or $30,000 for rehab costs. You have to have a 20% down payment. I mean, you guys might not have to do 20 or 15, but like that 15% down payment, that's an issue for me. But then also the debt service while you have the interest only period on a rehab. So like if you don't have money going in, what do you?
You know, so he's basically saying, hey, how do you find the money if you find a good deal, a good flip, and you buy it at 50% equity and you need some money to rehab it, how do you purchase that and how do you rehab it if you don't have the money to put down in the beginning? Me personally, you know, like Nas said before, a good deal never looks for money. Money always looks for a good deal. And so I truly mean that in the sense that if you brought that same deal to me, right, and you wanted to get the experience of flipping, I would put up the 20% or whatever I need at the private equities, the private money side, so you can get that deal funded and go. You're not gonna get as much of the deal as you could if you had the money, but you're also gonna get the learning curve of learning what it is. And so a lot of people think they need to take on these deals by themselves. The reason why the bank won't loan it to you is because you're a risk. You've never done it. But you bring somebody like us to the table, you know, we're probably gonna fund the whole deal ourselves because we don't wanna pay debt servicing, or we'll work with our lender and we'll get the money for the deal. So you just got to be able to speak to the right people.
Yeah, he said, how do you break the barriers of getting to that mindset where you just get up every day and get it?
It's disbelief in what you think you can achieve. And that comes from growing up, and it's conditioning. It's what you intake in your mind ever since you were a younger kid and how you were brought up. If you're successful in real estate, raise your hand right now. Be proud about it. Raise your hand. Nobody's gonna ask you for money. Right? And so what you're looking at is there's a bunch of people in here that have all pretty much came from nothing, that have got it out of the mud, basically. A lot of millionaires create their money out of mud, right, out of nothing. And so what happens is you have to stop hanging around the same people that you hang around currently that have what you don't want. And you need to start hanging around the people that have what you want.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta separate to elevate. And just to tap on that real fast, man. I want to say back when I had a job, man, I had to change my network. I cut off cable. This is before Fire Sticks, but I was stealing cable. But so I cut off cable. This is back when you could steal cable. So we talking about like 2011, 2012. So I cut off cable because I wanted to focus on this business. I stopped partying so I can read more books, because my life had to change, because I lived in my reality. My reality was my life sucked. I didn't go to college to work in the corner. That could not be my fate. That was never in my plan. You know, me personally, I wanted to be out here living life. And I met Jay Parker. And so I wanted to be around Jay Parker because I wanted to soak up that knowledge. Man, I'm quite sure, I hear through the grapevine he still tells his story. So back in the day, I had these long dreadlocks down my back. But I really wanted to be successful in real estate, and he was willing to share his knowledge and let me hang out with him. And he was going to let me, hang out with him and, ask him questions, etc. So he was too cheap to get a plumber. So who became his plumber that day? Me, right? I had to climb under a house to pull PEC. I was scared. I don't know what's under a house. I'm a city boy, and I'm not handy at all. But I did what it had to take so I can soak up the game and get that good information from them. Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do to get a better future. Because what happens, a lot of people that I work with, they stayed in comfort. They didn't get uncomfortable. So being that they stayed in comfort, they went up from, I was making at that time probably $35,000 a year when I was in that particular call center. So those people, they're probably 42, 45. And we talking about from 2011 to now, maybe some at 50 and 70. But let's be real, if you live in Charlotte, North Carolina, can you really enjoy Charlotte on $50,000 a year? Exactly. And I knew I just didn't want to get by. So knowing what you want, and this is for everybody, man, knowing what you want and zooming in and doing what it takes. My man, you had a question.
Yeah, my question was some of the changes that have happened in the industry, like in other cities like Chicago, Philly, with the things that they're doing with wholesaling.
Correct.
Do you see that happening anytime in Charlotte and North Carolina?
Absolutely. It's going to eventually happen. So what he's talking about, in the state of Illinois, in order to wholesale, you have to have a real estate license. You're allowed one transaction without a real estate license. After that, you must be licensed, okay? And then you can wholesale. In the municipality of Philadelphia, you have to have some type of license, not a real estate type of license with the city, or there's a process in order to wholesale the wholesale. So eventually, will the wholesaling industry be regulated? Absolutely. Why is that? Because realtors report, realtors form, realtors have groups, realtors pay politicians. So eventually it will come. When will it come? An attorney told me like this. Normally North Carolina is normally late with picking up stuff, but he's like, man, I'm pretty sure it's something coming down the pipeline.
So I've had 12 failed businesses before I found real estate. There was always rules changing, but it doesn't matter. We always adapt and overcome. And so it's not here now. I wouldn't worry about it when it comes. If you're willing to stay in it, You're just gonna adapt to whatever it is and do it. If the worst thing I've seen is you gotta go to real estate license, $350 in about 3 weeks. You know, and so it's just like, great. So what? We're just gonna move on. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing.
Question I have, you find your property and we want to get somebody to get in and start working on it so I can flip it. How do you find your contractors to do that, and where do you usually find them at?
That's a good question. All right, so contractors are one of those variables that, you know, can make or break you on flips. So me personally, I would tell you, and I'm having issues right now, but always take referrals from other investors. Now, here's the kicker. Other investors don't want to give out referrals. Two things a flipper won't give you: their private money resource or their contractor. Because if my contractor is handling my 3 jobs, and then I give him your job, a 4th job, that's going to take away from 3 jobs he's working on. Now every contractor is going to say, "Oh, I can handle multiple jobs." In reality, they cannot handle multiple jobs. So I will say referrals. So you have to build genuine relationships with other investors, and and go that avenue. You got something to say?
No, and that's the exact reason you partner up with somebody that's already doing the business, because they're gonna turn a blind eye to the deal to let you become friends with their actual contractors. And so that's the same exact thing that I do. You got to go out and find people.
Yeah, that's how I got my private money resources here, by partnering with people who already had the connections. So now they meeting me, they getting familiar with me. So now I can call them and get money. That's exactly what I did by partnering with people. Listen, what happens is some people, when they think they got money, that's all they got to do is think they got money, they get extremely greedy. It's okay to be greedy, you're a business owner, but they get extremely greedy, which me, I'd rather have 50% of something than 100% of nothing.
Can you give an example of what a good deal would be for somebody who's never wholesaled, done anything? How do we know how to identify a good deal? I would like for both of you to give 1 or 2 of your best books that you could recommend for somebody to read to kind of get the mindset to be able to be in space doing wholesale and making wholesale.
So her first question was, how do you find a deal, or how do you learn how to identify a deal? And I think so first of all, in real estate, identifying a deal is the #1 skill, period. There is literally trillions of dollars in America, more trillions outside of the world. So money is not the thing that you need to be searching for. It's actually the deal. And so how do you get good at identifying the deal? This is the boring stuff that people don't want to do. You literally have to know your market like the back of your hand. And there's no real answer for me to give you in the sense of like, this is exactly how you do it. It's just it's studying it. Like there's not, even now, there's once a week where I'll just go on Zillow and type in a zip code to see how many active MLS listings are in that zip code. And depending on how many they have or how little they have, I'm gonna know if there's a high demand in this area or low demand. I'm looking at the average price in that zip code. Those are just the boring stuff that I know in the top of my head, so that if somebody brings me a deal and they say a number, I'll say done. I don't even need to go see the house. I don't need to go do none of that stuff. And so that's the boring work you got to do all the time. You got to learn how to comp. And the reason why there's never a good answer on exactly how you comp, because it's like art. It's not a science. But there's good videos on how to learn the art, but you're always going to have to touch up. You're always going to have to learn how to comp. You have to learn how to get into a deal to where you're not over leveraged. That's the whole game in real estate. You got to be under leveraged in your portfolio. You got to learn how to find a deal.
When I was in the call center down bad, right? In my 20s, right? So I thought I was like vice president of the world, and of course I work for free. So here it is. I know everything, and however, whenever I had problems, I used to point the finger. It was never my fault. Nah, it's not my fault. So a good book that helped me with that was Stedman Graham, You Can Make It Happen. Stedman Graham, You Can Make It Happen. It basically helped me take ownership and responsibility of my life and realize that my success is not my employer's job, is not his job, is based off of me and what I do. And the thing to become successful is not to be successful is not what you post. It's not what everybody sees. It's the stuff that you don't see. We all know Steph Curry, the basketball player, he has a video game ability jump shot. Why is that? Well, prior to getting that jump shot, he shot 100 times a day minimum and only counted the ones that went in. It's the repetition, it's the practice. Just pull, practice comps, pull houses off of Zillows. I know y'all don't want a cold call. It was times where I didn't want a cold call when I was early in my business. I didn't want to pick up the phone, but I knew I wanted to get out of my situation. Another good book, Richest Man in Babylon. Richest Man in Babylon, that's a classic. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dennis Kimbro. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. So there's two versions. There's Think and Grow Rich, and then Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. So basically, before Napoleon Hill passed, he was going to do a version for blacks, for black people. However, he passed. The family found out that Dennis Kimbro was doing that. So what the family did was, they collaborated and they did the book. And that Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice had more of an impact on me than the regular version. And the regular version sells as many copies as the Bible. But either one is great, but those are some good books to start off with. The most important stuff, man, and Max says this all the time, the real estate information is out there. What really is gonna take you to the next level is your mindset to keep doing it. It took me 8 months to get my first deal. Why didn't I quit month 2? Because I hated my job in my life. Why didn't I quit on month 4? Man, my job, they treated me like 12 years a slave. I swear, and them ladies, they used to just treat me terrible. But I just, instead of, I never said anything back. I just used to take it and play stupid, So what you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going downtown this weekend to drink and party. I never drunk alcohol in my life. I never smoked anything in my life. I just wanted to throw them off. Because I couldn't tell them the truth, which was, man, I'm about to go home and work on myself, so I ain't got to come back here on Monday. You know what I mean? I couldn't tell them the truth, so I had to tell them that to throw them off and just let them think I'm stupid. Yeah, eventually they fired me multiple times. But, hey, I have a 7-figure business. They're still out of job. They have to ask for vacation time.
First and foremost, thank you guys for all the free things and just putting us on and things like that. But I have a question about short-term rental. So I'm into Airbnb. I'm very passionate about hospitality and the whole setup with that. But I'm a bit confused right now. I rent apartment units and of course put it on Airbnb, get permission or whatever. But I want to get into real estate investing and owning my own property and things like that. But I'm basically using the apartment units to build capital to do so. But I just want to jump on it now while I can. I'm seeing the market shifting and things like that. So what's some advice you can give me to building a relationship or getting some capital to finance it? Because I don't know how to go about that.
Does your LLC have 2 years? Okay, so basically what you have to do, you have to go to the secondary market, which is the private money resources. You have places like CarolinaHardMoney.com, CarolinaHardMoney.com, Lima One is L-I-M as in Mary, a one spelled out, LimaOneCapital.com. You also have LendingOne.com. What you're gonna find out is you gotta find the secondary lenders that are willing to finance Airbnbs if you're trying to do that. So just keep that in mind. A lot of them don't want to do vacation rentals, but if you could, I would call them. I know Lending One will forgive the tax returns and look at the deal. So if you contact them tomorrow, you could probably get pre-approved or just even speak with a rep, and they'll let you know what's going on from there. But also, what market are you in? You're in Charlotte market. Start coming to his meetings and getting more familiar with people, because that's how we start with networking. You want to meet the local lenders. The local lenders, you just can give an address and they can say yeah or nay. So that's who you want to meet, and that's going to take networking and going to the meetings and doing that such thing. So
it goes back to learning how to identify a deal, right? And so if you can learn that small part of real estate, which is a big part, small thing but a big part of it, then you can partner with people. You can come to somebody like us and say, hey, will we buy this house and have you as a partner in it, and then you go ahead and turn it into short rental income. And that's how you can get into start having ownership percentages in properties. And just, do what he said. I mean, because you need a good deal to be able to convert it into an Airbnb, furnish it, all that stuff. And that still comes down to finding a good deal, right? It's hard to pick a house off the MLS and turn it into an Airbnb. You want to have some equity in that thing. And like I said, there's a lot of dead money out here of people who would more than happy, instead of if you can manage the Airbnb rental and they put their money in it, and versus getting $2,000 or $3,000 a month in rent, they're getting 7 or 8, and you're doing some type of split with that, somebody will give you percentages in those properties. Because, I mean, that cash flow is crazy.
Yeah, I had a Airbnb management company quote me 20% a month, and that's pretty standards with Airbnb. So yeah, if you can create partnerships with people, so absolutely.
My partner that I work with out of Raleigh, he's doing about 10 to 15 deals a month. I personally have brought 5, started back in March. So I'm starting to gain a little bit of capital, also have a day job making pretty good money. What is your recommendation as far as where do you put the money once you start to gain the capital? And another thing is, how many deals do you do from a wholesale before you buy a next property? So you gained enough capital, do you buy a property, or do you recommend put it in marketing?
He has a W-2, he's wholesaling, he's friends with somebody I know that does multiple deals a month, and he's heading that position, and he's asking how many wholesales should he do before he, how many wholesales should he do before he keeps one? What should he do with the money, et cetera. You should use your W-2, right? So I bought my first house in 07, I was 24, 38, but they were doing the no doc loans. But anyway, 08, my first job, I was making $10 an hour down here in Charlotte at Convergence, the call center. Yeah, Convergence, terrible.
With a degree.
With a degree. If you don't know about Convergence, just look at it like this. It's 13th grade. You know what I mean? It was so much fornication going in there. And, the amount of fornication going on at this $10 an hour job, you would thought, I thought I made 30. You know what I mean? Like, damn, I make 30 an hour. This one. So anyway, it was terrible. It was terrible. But anyway, I was making $10 an hour, and what I did was I went and bought a rental property with that job on $10 an hour. Granted, it was 2008, so Charlotte was extremely cheap, and that's one of the things that attracted me to Charlotte. It was clean and it was cheap. Bought a house for $42,000. Of course, that does not exist in Charlotte anymore. 2009, I was making $12 an hour. I was at the time, Wells Fargo, Wachovia was headquartered here. I was in the call center there, making like $12 an hour. I bought another rental property using my W-2. That one paid off. I walked away with like $100K. 70 was profit when I actually sold it due to inflation and gentrification. But when I did have my W-2, I did use it, okay? So even if you gotta use your name, I don't wanna put nobody on blast, but you can get, like now it's regular, you get 10 loans in your personal name. I know people who utilize that just so they can get really cheap money.
So do you go through a traditional bank? Because I own my house now, I own the house I live in now. Would you go through a traditional bank with the W-2, or would you use a more investor-friendly lender?
Right now, I would take advantage of W-2 by getting a few in your personal name, man. And then put it in the trust after just to hide it, but just have it in your W-2. But yeah, I use my LLCs to do all my loans, and I use local bank. I use People's Bank NC. People's Bank NC, they only service the Charlotte metro area. There's no credit system in Africa, right? So I got off the plane in Africa.
In Ghana.
In Ghana. Well, we went to
Africa's
Africa. It's all
Africa's a
Africa,
continent.
but it's Ghana. To me, it's the same thing, but I'm sorry. It's Ghana. So we got off the plane in Ghana, right? And I'm ready to party. I'm ready to do all types of rat stuff over there. I'm ready to embarrass America. You know what I mean? So, of course, someone recognizes him. So we get invited to dinner and, some parties and whatever, right? So we in business meetings throughout the event, man, and we learned so much, man. And I'm thinking these people are going to be extremely poor, And I'm from New Jersey, extremely diverse. So, and you have Haitians and Africans, Dominicans, Cubans, Ecuadorians, every ethnicity in New Jersey, New York, whatever. And they tell you like, yo, it's not like that the way they depict it in America. So, and I believe them, and it was cool, but I'm thinking they gonna be poor. Bro, over there, no, it's not like that. Like, they don't even care you in America. They don't care if you're American or anything, right? And what was so crazy to me was there's no credit system. So if you know anything about the history of America, slavery ended in 1863 on paper, right? On paper, it ended 1863. 1865, it officially ended when the Union came and had to manually free the slaves, right? So they manually freed the slaves. They had to muscle them out of there because the slaves couldn't read or write, no TV, nothing. So the slave owners didn't tell them that they were free. So therefore, what happened from there, the slave owners was like, man, how y'all gonna do that to us? The slave owners got reparations. All right, at that point, African Americans went under what's called Jim Crow. They say it was in the South, but it was going on naturally. Credit was readily available to white men to build out the country, to build out suburban America. Credit was not available to African Americans. So everything got built out. So here it is in 2021, we in Africa, in Ghana, to be specific, these people buy things cash. Their houses, which are beautiful, cash. Like, they got $1 million homes out there, $800,000 homes out there. Those nice cars y'all see, cash. Now, if there's a car that they have that's not readily available in their country, and let's say a 2021 G-Wagon is $220,000, right? Here in America, it's $220,000. So let's say I'm a baller in Africa, but I can't get it in Africa because the dealership don't got it. Well, I got to go to America to get it. That car is going to cost me $400,000 to get to Africa, and you'll see them on the street over there. So it was just so shocking, if I had to just live off cash because there's no credit system. The mortgage system is new over there, but it's 12 years old, but it's not really used, and they only give you 33%.
2 years to pay off your mortgage.
And you got 2 years to pay off your mortgage. So I'm like, yo, Max is ahead of his time. Like, he could come over here and thrive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just crazy how they live off cash, but he does the same things. Airplanes, cash. House, cash. It's personal residence, cash. Me, I like leverage. Of course, I be responsible with the leverage. I don't max it out, but I like leverage. But the thing, to answer your question, you're gonna find these good deals. So your leverage is not gonna be that bad because you'll find these great deals. And we've been blessed. I've been on the internet 2012, and that was like the first time me putting out a paid product. He blew up. He's been on YouTube since 16, 17. I mean, just straight took it to the next level where all the other YouTubers thought we was gonna go, but he just took it there. So, he just took it there to the next level. I mean, he was featured in what, GQ, what's the other one? Vogue, you know what I mean? And I said this on Facebook, right? Like, when I met him, I thought he was a weird black guy because he's a cowboy. Like, I ain't never, like, me and my man, we from Jersey. I ain't no cowboys in Jersey. Like, you kill Indians? Like, what do? You know what I'm saying? Like, why you kill them? They're good people. But he explained to me the history. So basically, the first cowboys were black. The white men were called cattlemen. The reason for the name cowboy was to make the black people feel small, because you're not a man, you a boy. So go get that cowboy, go get that cowboy, boy, go get that cow. So us being black, we made it really cool. And then when we made it really cool, that's when the white men took the name cowboy and said, yo, y'all gotta go. It's really dope that he's a cowboy. How many bullfighters you got?
6 or 7.
You got like 6 or 7 bullfighters.
Riders.
I'm sorry. Fighters, riders. To me, they fighting because they be on that thing, right? Like, yo, and when you watch the footage, right, of one of his, because he got one of like the best black bullfighters, right, under his that he managed, right? So when you watching them, right, like, you like, yo, I can do that. So I was talking to him, like, yo, is it hard? How long you got to stay on? But you can't die. You can't die. You can't die. So, more of the story, don't be a cowboy, all right? Because you can die. Like, you can really die. It's 7:43. I only paid for the room up to 8:30. All right? So look, I'm gonna try to wrap this up because I know we gotta get some network, we're gonna get some pictures. So I'm gonna take these last 2 questions, and then we gonna try to exit. Somebody had a question about
Let's
that?
do fire questions. No
Yeah, let's do
stories.
fire. Yeah.
All right.
I just pulled a HELOC out and turned my garage into a 1-bedroom studio apartment. I'm getting $1,500 a month, income coming in. Right down the road. So my question is I'm going to refinance, I think here in the next month or so. What's your thought process about doing that all over again? Taking more money out from the HELOC and put it in my first investment property and just keep like spiraling and snowballing that into multiple properties off your.
So I've done the same thing. So it's a great strategy. The reason why it's a great strategy, that same HELOC amount, whatever, you can build a portfolio off the same money that can put you in retirement maybe 10, 15 years earlier than your peers. Sometimes maybe 20 years earlier, depending on how fast you build and the bank you work with that can refinance you after out of the loans. So I think it's a great strategy. You buy at a discount. Something Jay taught me, never buy for $100 and $200 cash flow type of deals if you're trying to leave your job. That doesn't work. That worked for maybe the passive guy, but not if you're trying to leave your job. So you gotta look for great deals. You get on the ground, use our strategies, cold calling, driving for dollars, text messaging. That's what we're currently using. You use those methods to find those great deals, take that money, buy a rental, you fix it up. Here's the biggest issue, finding the right lender that's gonna be a good fit for you. So People's Bank, they want 1 year seasoning before you can get cash out. That means you gotta have the property for 2 months. But they have internet banks that will some will do it in 3, some will do it in 6 months. You just gotta call around to those banks I gave you earlier. Lending One, Lima One, Capital.com, Carolina Hard Money, that's short-term money. I don't think they do any rental stuff right now, but just call around to those and just find the bank that you can work with. For those who want to work with People's Bank, if you go to my profile, IG Real Estate Guru, I got my banker's card right up there. You can give them a call. If you're not ready to refinance, you're not qualified currently, what you can do is just open up a deposit account to build that relationship. And that's how it starts. But the local banks are the way to go. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they don't have a stomach for our stuff. These are single-family houses. It's not their focus. Their ideal client comes with a business of $5 million or more for their ideal client, for the A-level banks. So your local banks and the internet banks in the secondary market. But that's a great strategy to build up a portfolio.